Thank you for joining us for another episode of Fort Worth Roots.
And they say, okay, second unit out. So now first unit, which is Robin, and he was the only one in the scene. So he finally did something with that boom mic. He grabs it and it goes boom chaka-laka-laka, boom chaka-laka-laka.
That sounds like something.
Then he went off. And the first AD said, Robin, Michael Ritchie, the director, said, let him go.
Let him be.
And he went for like 10 or 15 minutes.
Let this man do what he's going to do.
You can find Fort Worth Roots on all your favorite streaming services, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, and many more. On social media, you can find us as Fort Worth Roots on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and we do have videos associated with these episodes on YouTube. Just look for Fort Worth Roots. We talk about all of our events and all of our wonderful sponsors at the end of this episode. Real quick, this episode is sponsored by Woodpost Metalworks. You can go to woodpostmetalworks.com. These people specialize in metal signs with or without LED backlighting, fence and gate repair or installation, light steel fabrication, industrial plasma cutting, and more. You can go to woodpostmetalworks.com, and at checkout, if you'll use offer code podcast817, you'll get 10% off. Today, along with the help of our stand-in co-host Genevieve, we interview a man that is directing, producing, and acting in a series filmed right here in Fort Worth, Texas called Bailout. He and his team have received 30-plus awards for this show. Today, we talk about his time getting beat up by Chuck Norris on the set of Walker, Texas Ranger, how he became the stunt double and then eventual friend of the late, great Robin Williams, and we briefly talk about how our guest may have helped that friend with addiction, and so much more. We are honored to have today's guest on for a second appearance on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. And we are honored to have you as a listener. Thank you for finding the Fort Worth Roots podcast. If you haven't already, since you found us once, don't lose us. Whatever platform you're listening to us on, go ahead and subscribe and follow us so that you never miss an episode. We do release one of these each and every Monday. That's enough talking out of me. Thank you again for being here. Please give it up for our friend, the amazing Dennis O'Neill. And let's start the show!
I was Bianca, if that helps. That's Kate's sister. That's a sister that everyone wants to marry.
Ah, yeah.
All right.
I have to look at my resume. It's on my resume.
We're going to get this. It's going to be great.
We're doing really well. So I guess
that's definitely going on the
that poor
final
GoPro
cut.
The drop.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The roughest start to an episode I think I've ever had.
It's because we don't have Sam or Paul here to babysit.
So we're here today with Dennis O'Neill for our second recording, and we have our co-host, the wonderful Genevieve.
Hello.
This is your second time on the show.
It is.
It's the first time for both of you here at the Fort Worth Roots studio, so
We
welcome and thank you for being here.
Congratulations to having your own space.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're feverishly trying to put this thing together.
It looks great.
It's getting
The
there.
last time I saw it, I don't think it had electricity.
It had electricity, but I did put those lights in.
About to say is it's very bright now.
It is, yeah.
Have you started the backyard work that you guys have planned?
No.
We've got a lot of
electricity. Well, obviously.
No,
it has,
Dennis. Sorry, it's not real. This isn't real electricity. Sorry, it's all battery packs.
I'm actually fueling all these lights with my imagination.
Because you can see I'm leaving my jacket on, not because it's Walker Texas Ranger jacket.
Hey,
but it's
right.
It's chilly.
It's a little
It's a little chilly.
Are y'all okay? Because I got heaters I can turn on.
No.
Nah, it's good.
It's just with the heaters and the lights, sometimes it gets a little toasty in here.
We don't need that.
But if y'all start getting too cold, we can turn up the juice.
I'm sure it'll be fine.
So yeah, you've got this badass, flashy Texas Ranger jacket
Walker,
on.
Little
Texas
varsity
Ranger.
jacket.
Yeah, so
varsity jacket.
94 to 95 is what it says. Cast and crew 94 95. How did you acquire this impressive collector's edition jacket?
Well, I auditioned for Walker Texas Ranger when it came to Dallas 8 times. And the 8th time that I came in, the casting director said, Dennis, I really apologize. They should know your blood type already. And I said, yeah, they should. And I don't think people talked about DNA so much. But 8 times. And then I think it was the 8th time that I got it. I finally got a role. But they gave me a role that was supposed to last one day.
Uh-huh.
And it was called The Hitchhiker. Yeah, The Hitchhiker. No. No, that was my movie.
Right.
Oh, no, we're not going to talk about that
No,
movie.
we're not ever going to talk about that.
Why not?
Skyjack.
There's reasons. What was it?
called Skyjack.
Skyjack.
Walker, Texas Ranger, Skyjack. And anyway, I ended up being on it for 2 weeks, and they told me that I was going to have this fight scene with Chuck Norris because
you lose that every time, sir.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I wouldn't mind.
I'll let
as
Chuck
long as I
Norris
could-
beat me to a pulp.
Yeah,
Jeez.
as long as I could say I fought Chuck Norris. And I do tell people that. I say, I fought that guy. Wow, how did it go?
You live to tell the story.
Yeah, I got paid a lot of money for it.
Heyo.
And but you know, when I was on it, we were supposed to do this fight scene because they saw that I was Robin Williams stunt double and I did fight scenes.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was on it for about a week, and I went over to the stunt coordinator. I said, "When am I going to do the fight scene with Chuck?" And he said, "Oh, you didn't hear?" I said, "No, hear why?" He said, "No, Chuck canceled it." And I said, "Why? Why did he cancel it?" He said, "Well, you know, actors really don't like to mix it up with him because they think he might break their nose or chip a tooth." And I said to him, he was champ for 5 years, unbeaten, and he retired as champ. And they said, "Well, yeah." I said, no, let's do it." He said, "No, he's not going to do it." So I thought about this, and I looked over at Chuck. We were on this plane, and I said, "Chuck, can I talk to you?" He said, "Yeah, what?" I said, "Can you come here?" Because he was sitting down. He said, "All right." And I got this close to him. I said, "I hear you don't want to do the fight scene." I got into my Brooklyn.
You hear that little Brooklyn accent
my
come out just a
Brooklyn
bit?
came out, and he said,
Oh, God.
he said, no, the plane is too small. And I could almost hear this, crunching of his fist. And I said, "Hey, Chuck, you think I'm going to go back to Brooklyn and tell my friends I didn't get beat up by the best of them? Come on." And
I
he goes,
love that.
"Oh, man." And he said, "Dennis, I really didn't know what you were doing because I don't know you." And he said, "No, the plane is too small." I said, "Chuck, I grew up in Brooklyn. I was in gang fights. I got beat up." So I said, "You're a pro. You're not going to hurt me. Don't worry." He said, "No, it's the plane is too small." So I ended it there, and I came in the next morning around 6 or 7, and this guy Vic, the stunt coordinator, came over to me and said, "Do you want to wear a belt?" I said, "I have a belt on." He said, "No, I mean, a belt." I said, "No, I don't know. Belt for what?" He said, "Well, when you have the fight scene, Chuck's going to throw a kick." I said, "Wait, we're going to do this?" He said, "Oh, yeah." He said, "Oh, yeah, I didn't tell you." So last
Sounds
night...
like Vic is doing a really bad job of telling you things when you're supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. He said, last night, Chuck came over to us and said, "Hey, Dennis O'Neill wants to mix it up with me." And I said, wait, Vic.
Whoa.
I don't want to mix it up with him, okay? I want it to be choreographed. I'm not going to go into the ring with the guy. And he said...
Just raw dog fight Chuck Norris. That'll go really well.
Come on, Chuck, let's go.
There's not enough money in the world. It's a walking HR nightmare.
So we were choreographing the fight, and he was supposed to knock me up against the wall, where the restroom is, and he grabbed me, and he went like that, and I said, "Chuck, throw me against the wall, Chuck." He said, "No, I don't want to hurt you." I said, Chuck, please believe me." And then I showed him a scar on my head. I said, "See that? Louis Ivini, who they now call Louis the Pipe, hit me over the head with a pipe in a gang fight." I said, "Chuck, come on." And so he finally did it. And this is what I thought. I'm going to make this guy work for his money. But I was going to get a little more screen time as well. Mm-hmm. So we were having the fight. We were going through the punches and everything, and I didn't tell him there were 2 things I was going to do. And so we have the fight scene. He really knocked me up against the wall, which was great. And so when I turned around, I threw a right roundhouse, and he blocked it, but he didn't know I was going to throw a left roundhouse. And I just threw it. I went, and as I came down, he blocked it, and bam, he clocks me. He doesn't really hit you.
Yeah, but still.
But, from the camera point of view, that's what you do with your head. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So then he grabbed me. Okay, so, I wobbled. He turns me around, and he clocks me again, and I fall into the chair, and I was supposed to be knocked out.
Yeah.
So I fell into the chair, and I went, and I got up again, and he clocked me again. So
And you weren't supposed to get up.
weren't supposed to throw that left, and I wasn't supposed to get up. So the guy that played Trevette, Clarence Gilliard, the actor, he just passed away. He came running over to me and he said, "Dennis, are you all right, man?" I said,
This is the best day of my life.
"This is Chuck Norris. Come on, are you guys doubting your star over here?" And
Well, that's probably pretty standard practice. You know, anytime anybody tussles with Chuck Norris, somebody's got to check on the guy.
There's an entire subset of the internet dedicated to jokes about like Chuck Norris fighting things. Like a snake fought Chuck Norris and like was lucky to be alive.
Well,
like
no, it was a snake bit Chuck Norris, and after 10 days of excruciating pain,
the snake died.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like stuff like that.
You know about what happened when Chuck Norris was born, right?
No.
The doctor picked him up and went, "Nah."
better not. Better not spank that baby.
I shouldn't.
But Chuck Norris, he loves those jokes about.
Does he?
Oh, he loves them. Yeah, because I mean, he's Chuck Norris, and
I mean,
That's so crazy.
You're a legend. You're a cult classic.
Honestly.
icon. You know.
yeah.
How could you not?
I mean, Family Guy's got that incredible impersonation of him that are in like a few. Have you ever seen that?
haven't seen
There's
it.
like a couple episodes where they just have like, you know, they do like that like it's almost as blank, and then there's like
Oh,
a
yeah.
it's like a cutscene,
Yeah.
and there's like a few cutscenes with Chuck Norris's character in it, and it's just, it's so funny. Like he's got like his beard opens and like a fist comes out of his beard and stuff like that.
So
good.
in 2005, I had my first deployment, and I didn't know this actually might be when all that started with Chuck Norris, and I can't remember what the catalyst was to make him such an
icon?
like a meme icon.
Yeah.
But before memes were memes, we used to write shit on porta potty walls, right?
Yeah.
I've never.
I'm not surprised.
I've never done this.
I doubt that.
I would never
Me
do
either.
this.
I doubt that.
Did
you
you ever
have you have a signed toilet lid,
But I didn't do any of that.
Oh, okay. That was good.
Well, he's told us
There's
the
all
story
sorts
about
of
this.
stuff.
This is like from his group, and when he was like leaving his deployment, they like all gave him like a little message on this freaking toilet lid.
Yeah,
Nice.
shout out to the boys at NASJRB Carswell, ASF Carswell.
I still like that your name was Rabbit. It's
Yeah.
very Eminem of you.
Not very many people know that.
Oh.
You just gave out the big secret. Anyway,
You can cut that if you need to.
It's not gonna cut. So 2005, before the internet, and I mean, there was the internet, of course, but before Reddit and the memes and all that, people were writing stuff on porta potty walls, and that's whenever Chuck Norris jokes started getting really crazy.
Interesting.
Is on porta potty walls, but you'd walk into a porta potty, and I mean, there wouldn't be an inch of free space. Everything had Chuck Norris jokes all the way
I
around.
can't believe you people actually did that. I've never used a porta potty in my life. So, you know.
It was either that or the sand. You take your pick.
Yeah.
But you don't know about camel spiders before you answer that.
I don't know what that means.
Well, camel spiders are a non-venomous spider, but what they do have is an what is it? It's a nerve paralyzing agent. What
An
do you call that?
anticoagulant?
It's not
No.
an anticoagulant.
Oh, yeah,
I almost
yeah.
said that.
A neurotoxin?
Like an antidote.
Yeah, something like that. But anyway, so you'll be sleeping or maybe sitting on a toilet, and this thing will bite you. And when it does that, it numbs the area around it, and now it starts picking at your numb skin, and you'll wake up with a golf ball size hole missing out of your
Wow.
leg.
I don't know what this has to do with. Or are you
Chuck
saying you got one of
Norris.
these from a porta
No,
potty?
I'm telling you why you don't crap in the sand and you use a porta potty with Chuck Norris jokes on it.
Oh my God.
So
So
was
our
that
last episode, we had a co-host, Sam, poor Sam, where I was sitting next to him and he had his little like notepad, and he'd be like, if I would say something that would give him an idea, and he would write a question down. And then me over here, we're supposed to be talking about like a beauty pageant. We start talking about like public transportation in Dallas, Texas, and the lack thereof. And Sam's like, so getting back to it.
Yeah. What was and
Which is why our episode was over an hour long.
in that spirit, what were you just about to say?
I was going to say was that that little bug, did he not go near Chuck Norris?
Probably not.
Boy, I tell you what, he better not.
He probably bit Chuck Norris, and then his whole body went numb.
For sure.
Or spider.
There you
For
go.
sure.
It happens. you
Last
know?
thing I'll say about those little bastards, though, they can run like 10 miles an hour.
Most
Wow.
spiders can.
Well, this one is serious about it, and it seems like there's. Well, I've been chased by one, so it seems like they're stalking you. But what they're actually trying to do is they're trying to get in your shadow, because that sand gets to like 120 degrees.
Yeah.
So they're dancing their feet around.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, I've seen these. They're called sun spiders. Well, I mean, this looks like
this
it's what
has
you're.
to do with Chuck Norris.
We have no idea.
Well, we got into the desert talk, but
Is that what you're talking about?
that's a fake
Chuck
photo.
didn't even live in the desert.
I'm sure he's probably
Yeah.
done some USO tours there. I bet
Yes,
you.
yeah.
This is terrifying.
So,
I love spiders, but that's terrifying.
So you got this gig because you had been stunt doubling for Robin Williams.
Well, yeah,
And
that's
basically.
part of it.
And well, I auditioned, but when they found out that I did stunt doubling for Robin, they wanted me to do the fight scene,
We had
which
promised the listeners that we were going to talk about that. So
Yeah,
the reason I was
which-
segueing into that, but
Which project of Robin's were you a stunt double?
on two of them. One was called The Survivors with Walter Matthau, Jerry Reed. It didn't do too well at the box office, but I had a blast working with him. He was the greatest guy. He really was. I worked with him 3 or 4 months on it, and Michael Ritchie was the director, and Robin kind of felt directors out, and he just got away with so much. But it was to our advantage.
it's Robin
because-
Williams. Like, how can you not?
Yeah, well, he would just go off on a tangent and had us laughing, but it wasted a lot of time, and money. And I remember we were in this cabin up in Vermont. We needed snow, so we went up to Vermont. We were in this cabin, and so they would call second unit to come in, which I was the second unit, and I'd lay down on the floor and do all of this and, choreograph the whole movement and everything, and sometimes say his lines, and they would get everything right, the lighting and everything. And then Robin would come in, and I had to tell him what I was doing. So they had the boom mics up, and so he's listening to me, and he's looking around, sees the boom mic, and so he's looking around and said, so I go here. I said, yeah, just go on that side, yada, yada, yada. And they say, okay, second unit out. So now first unit, which is Robin, and he was the only one in the scene. So he finally did something with that boom mic. He grabs it and it goes, boom, chaka-laka-laka, boom, chaka-laka-laka.
That sounds
And
like something.
Then he went off. And the first AD said, Robin, Michael Ritchie, the director, said, let him go.
Let him be.
And he went for like 10 or 15 minutes.
Let this man do what he's gonna do.
And that night...
is he like just freestyling with the boom mic? Ooh,
yeah,
that's hilarious.
Whatever came out. And then that night... it was in Lake Tahoe. I apologize. It was in Lake Tahoe. We moved from Vermont to Lake Tahoe because we weren't getting any snow in Vermont, which is rare. And so he invited us to his concert that night at one of the big hotels. And we got... up front seats to the side, and he introduced us. And some of the stuff that he used earlier in the day, he was using that night.
That's cool.
And, yeah.
The stuff
That's
he was
really
freestyling
cool.
with the boom mic.
The stuff that just came out of his head.
Yeah.
So, he just put it in, and it made sense, but it was great. He was just one of the best I ever worked with. And he said to me at the end of it, we were walking back to base camp, and there was no one else around. And I really felt, because of what he asked me, I felt, is there a camera on
Yeah.
us or something? And it felt like a movie going down this lone road with the snow on it and everything. And he said to me, what are you doing in January? And this was December. I said, Robin, I'm an actor. I have no idea. He said, would you like to work on my next movie? And I said, well, let me think about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got him to laugh, and he said, call the casting director, a couple of weeks before. He said, I'll let them know that you're going to be my stunt double, stand-in, whatever they want you to do.
Yeah.
And he even said, maybe get some lines out of it. So I said, all right. So about 2 weeks before, I called the casting director, and she said, oh, no, we already got somebody. And I said, oh, okay, well, Robin wanted me to call you because he asked me if I wanted to work on it. She said, no, we got somebody. I said, okay. So the next day I called her, and she said, didn't you call me yesterday? I said, well, yeah, I just thought, maybe something happened.
Maybe you got updated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she said, no, I said, we got somebody yesterday. We still have that person.
Yeah.
I said, all right. The third day I called her up again. She said, wait a minute, didn't you call me the past 2 days? And I said, well, yeah, I just thought something would change, and because Robin did tell me to, call you. She said, when did he tell you this? So I told her the whole story. And she said, well, look, Robin is in Germany right now, so I'm not going to call him. And we got somebody. And she hung up. And I was going to call her the next day. And I don't know why.
Keep doing this.
Yeah, I don't
That's
know
the
why.
move.
I might have called her the next day, but I did. And she said, do me a favor. Do not call me anymore. If I know it's you on the phone, I will hang up. I said, all right. And, I didn't get upset. About a week later, I get a call and somebody said, can I speak to Mr. O'Neill? And I'm thinking, Mr. O'Neill, that's my father. And I said, well, this is Dennis. She said, oh, Dennis O'Neill? I said, yeah. She said, hi, this is so-and-so. I forgot her name, but it was that woman.
The casting director.
My, how her tone has changed.
Oh
Yeah,
my gosh, she's
yeah.
so nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
She said, listen, we'd love to have you, as Robin Williams stunt double and stand-in and whatever else works out. How's your schedule on this particular day? And I really wanted to say, let me think about it, but I said, it's good.
Nice.
And she said, okay, so we'll see you then. Okay, so let me cut to the chase. I wasn't going to tell you this, but I will. So I get there, and we're all waiting for Robin. It's the day of, we're going to film the first day. So everybody's waiting for Robin. We're in this big room, and all the background players were there, the lead actors, crew, everybody was there. And so Robin came in, and this is what he did. He's looking around at this big room, and he's looking at people.
And sees you.
And he sees me, and this is what he did. He said, brother!
Aww.
And I'm thinking, what? Where does that come from? So I came over to him, and he gave me this big hug.
Aww.
Now, I'm telling you that for a reason, and this is a very emotional part of the story, and I'm not going to get that emotional. I feel it coming on, but I'm not. So when he passed away, he saw me one night. I was reading, and he came. I was reading a Bible, actually, and it was called Good News from Modern Man, and I was just reading it. He said, what's that? I said, well, it's an updated version of the Bible. He said, oh, so are you a Jehovah's Witness? I said, no. And anyway, make a long story short, because it is a long story about that part of my life. So he was asking me a question, and I shared this whole thing with him. And when I was done, it was really good. And then I got out of the industry for about 5 to 7 years. And anyway, when he passed away, Billy Crystal was doing his eulogy, and Billy said, one thing about Robin, if he ever liked you, I mean really liked you, he never shook your hand. He hugged you.
Yeah.
Aww.
Man, I started bawling like a baby.
Tear
And
you
I
up, man.
thought, yeah, and I thought,
Yeah, I was about to say, like,
it's an event that happened in my life and something I could share for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
that's incredible.
He truly was a gem. He was a gem.
And of course, since his passing, there's been lots of documentaries, and I feel like I understand Robin Williams a little better than I did while he was alive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It seems to be the way it goes, though.
Yeah.
An artist will die, and then they're celebrated. They don't get
Yeah.
the attention they deserve, although he was pretty successful. But the documentaries I'm seeing are talking about what a genuinely good dude he was.
Yeah.
And maybe you can confirm this, but the thing that stuck out to me the most on this last documentary was talking about how he would request or demand that they brought in people maybe that were homeless from the streets.
Yep.
to get them involved
Yeah.
with the show in some way. Maybe they were an extra, maybe they did something else, but he
It's true.
required it.
Yeah.
That's
it's
amazing.
true.
That's
Yeah.
absolutely amazing.
That says a lot about him.
It does.
Yeah. And I thought you were going to bring up the one where he flew. I forgot what state it was, but he flew there. There was a girl dying. I think it was a child. She was dying of some kind of brain cancer. And
Is this the one that he visited in the hospital?
Yes.
That went.
he got on
Yeah,
the plane,
yeah.
went by himself, went there, and I think the mom took a picture of him with her, and there was no one with him.
Yeah.
Just flew there.
Wasn't doing it for publicity.
No.
No.
It was
And
probably like one of those Make-A-Wish things. He found out that she wanted to see
yeah,
Robin
something
Williams.
like that. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then there was all that involvement that he did with, I believe it was Coco, the gorilla, the
Yes.
gorilla that spoke
Oh,
sign language.
man,
He had a really
yes.
good relationship with her. And I think I don't know if I'm remembering this correctly, but she signed the word like sad and cry when her caretaker told her that Robin Williams had died.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of two celebrities or, actors, famous people that when they died, I cried. I was inconsolable for several days after Robin Williams.
It's just,
The other one being Stephen Hawking, because, obviously.
You are serious?
No, I'm serious.
Okay.
The night that I found out, I think it was like Twitter that I found out like Stephen Hawking died. It was a movie scene. I walked outside and I like looked up at the night sky and I looked at the stars and I just started bawling my eyes out.
What a trooper, though. He'd been dealing with whatever.
So much. I mean, so did Robin, though. Robin was going through.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying Stephen Hawking's, in the wheelchair, can't do anything but move his mouth, right?
Degenerating. Yeah.
Well, when I met Robin on the first movie was The Survivors, then I worked with him on Moscow on the Hudson. When I met him on that movie,
I love that movie. I
great?
I think I have a copy of it.
Go get it.
Well,
Oh,
I'll let
wow.
him finish.
Yeah.
well, I was very much into drugs. Very much into drugs. I was a drug dealer. I was a drug abuser.
That's show business, baby.
Yeah. And so the night that, the day that John Belushi OD'd, Robin was with him earlier, and he was devastated by the whole thing. Yeah. So he asked me, how did you get off drugs? And that was part of the conversation that I had with him. Yeah. And he really wanted to turn his life around. And he did. He did. He got off drugs and booze and everything. Yeah, I think he had a relapse years later, but toward the end of his life, he had a true turning point in his life. I heard that some pastor took him under his wing, and he had a real good relationship with him. And I saw him being interviewed by Diane Sawyer, and she asked him a question, and he said, well, Buddha said this, and he quoted him. He said, but the Bible says this. And he quoted the verse, and he said, and I much rather believe the Bible. And I thought, wow, he really did. I don't know how far his spiritual conversion was or anything, but he was always looking for that way out, that better life. And I believe that he did find it. But, I've heard people say, well, if he was a believer, why did he commit suicide? And I was sharing, actually, my testimony with somebody in Dallas about 5 months ago. And I said, I never do this, but are there any questions? And this one woman said, if Robin was such a good guy or believer or whatever she said, why did he commit suicide? And I said, well, people get cancer, and they could be believers. People get sick. Get a cold, a sickness came on him. Yeah. And I thought, what a stupid thing to ask. I mean, really.
And the wrong damn person to ask, too.
It is the...
Yeah, oh, yeah. Because, where I spoke, they believe in laying hands on people. I really wanted to lay hands on this woman.
Choke her out a little bit.
Yeah.
I think I feel it right here. A little bit of God inside of my palm wants to visit your forehead.
Yeah.
Dang, man. Yeah, that's rough. But people, I don't know. I've been struggling with the way people are, the way we are to each other, and
it's a mess.
Yeah, and I really wanted to. I didn't want to get into anything with her, but I did want to ask her. So, what are you suffering with? Or what have you gone through? Because I always say, once you point your finger at somebody, there's three fingers pointing right back at you.
Yep.
So, we're all fragile.
Yeah. Well, gratitude and compassion and a little bit of humility whenever we're dealing with other people would go a long way.
way.
Yeah.
We'd have a lot less problems.
And we could solve them all right here on the podcast.
That's right.
Guys,
that's our goal. Right
this is a turning point in human history.
Right here.
Right
today.
here in Fort Worth, Texas.
So
but with all of that people go through and we go through, I go through, we all have a bailout.
There it is.
Wow, what a segue.
There's a segue.
Oh my God, it's like you've done this before.
You could tell I was starting to turn focus.
I know, I feel like this is getting really existential right now, guys.
So on the screen behind us, and if I've got the settings
big
correctly
old mug out of the way
set, then the YouTube video will be able to pick this up. But it says Sweet Democracy Film Awards 2022.
Congratulations.
For
Thank you.
Bailout.
We won.
And this is a show filmed primarily here in Fort Worth, right?
Oh yeah. All Fort Worth, and so far we just won another one yesterday. So I think it's 31 awards.
Wow.
And
I knew it was a lot.
50 nominations.
I was going to ask you, is there one that you have not won yet? Like you're running out of awards to win, but it's 2023, so I guess it's a whole new year.
You have a whole new year
awards.
to collect more. Exactly.
Yeah. And there's another episode coming out. There's another 2 episodes coming out, but I was just on the phone with my production crew yesterday, and we're going over some writing, and we're getting a brand new website, and because I don't like the one that we have, and the second episode is 90% done, and I'm meeting with him Monday just to look at it and make some notes.
That's so
Awesome.
exciting.
Awesome.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it really is.
Now,
It really
is the end goal here to get this picked up by one of the streaming networks?
Okay, yeah, that was going to be my
Awesome.
next question.
Yeah, most likely streaming is what I would want, unless I get a network. Unless I get a network that wouldn't want to take the whole thing from me, because I want to be in control.
You want to have creative rights and liberties.
Yeah, and I want to.
Well, this is your brainchild since 2008 or 2007, you had said, correct? See, I pay attention to things.
Why do you think she's here, folks?
Wait, but I didn't say that now.
You said that on the last episode.
Whoa.
Hi.
She is a gold mine.
I broke out the big guns, man.
Yeah,
Man, you did.
And you had said that you've been working on this after you had an audition for something for Joe Kirsch, was it correct? Or Joe Hirsch from Taxi?
Judd Hirsch.
Just Hirsch. And he and the 21-year-old casting assistant had said something along the lines of, can you make him a little bit more feminine?
Yeah, that's what he said.
And it didn't work out, and so you started writing Bailout.
Yeah, and I'm thinking Judd Hirsch. And so I did it. And when I got outside by the elevator, I could have kicked myself. Man, I thought, he obviously doesn't know who Judd Hirsch is.
Yeah.
And he's going to send this video to the director and producer.
And they're just going to think that you have no idea who it is, that you were given a prompt and you couldn't perform the prompt.
Yep. Yeah.
That's awful.
You can find Taxi on YouTube.
But that was the catalyst to get you started in the direction to take everything into your own control and produce Bailout.
It's really exciting that you're both producer, writer, actor in the same
director
in the same show. That is so cool.
Yeah, and there were a couple of people that wanted to direct. There were a couple of people that wanted to write, and I said to a couple of people who really wanted to write, I said, okay, write something, write a spec, let me read it, and they just didn't have a clue. I really didn't have a clue when I started. I was calling it. First it was a drama, then it was a dramedy, because I had Terry Kaiser in it from Weekend at Bernie's. I know you don't know who that is.
I don't know.
I know it.
It's like a cult film. It's
okay.
a cult film. And he played the dead guy. And so I did something with him a few years prior. And so I contacted him. I said, hey, you want to be in this with me? And so we did it. And I thought, it's funny scenes, and I always play the straight guy. I don't need to be the funny guy, even though offset.
You're the Brooklyn detective, aren't you?
Yeah. You got a problem with that?
No, I'm saying it's great. I'm not saying I have a problem with it. That's my Australian coming out a little bit. His Brooklyn to my Australian.
So it's about a New York City detective who has a run-in with the mob.
Mate.
The mob wants to whack him, so he comes to Fort Worth to get away from it all, to take over his uncle's failing bail bonds business. The mob has a contract out on him now, so they follow him, and instead of whacking him, they end up working for him as bounty hunters. It's like, the gang that couldn't shoot straight. So then I realized when I had Terry Kaiser on, I said, okay, so it's more of a comedy, so dramedy. And then, it still wasn't going anywhere. I had these DPs that were shooting for me.
What's a DP?
A director of photography. Okay. Shooting is filming, okay? You have to watch what you say nowadays.
Right, no one's getting hurt, folks.
There was something, I just did not like it. And we did all this footage, and we had screenings, and sometimes I'd be cringing in the theater watching it. And this is what I did. One day I got up, I said, okay, this isn't working.
Yeah.
I went to my computer and I talked to God a lot. I said, okay, God, I'm the pen of the ready writer. When you're ready, have me start writing. And I just started writing. I didn't know what I was going to write. I really didn't. And I just started writing. Whatever was coming out of my head, it was going on. I have Final Draft. That's what I write with. And I started laughing. So I started putting it all together. And before I knew it, I worked days on it. And I looked forward to getting up at 6 a.m, going upstairs and writing, because that was my joy in the morning, you know, and I'd start laughing. I'm thinking, oh, God, this is great. I love this. And then I said, the big test is sending it out to my cast and crew. Yeah, because I have some really good actors on it. Nellie Shudo, who worked on, with Scorsese like 4 times. What's the DiCaprio movie? Shutter Island.
Yeah, I love that movie.
And so that's where I saw her. And so somebody said to me, you should have her. And I said, I don't know who she is. So then they showed me that. So I contacted her. And she said, yeah, I'd love to. Jim Blumetti, who's a real good friend of mine, he was on Walker. He was on In Plain Sight. He did a ton of stuff. So I have really good actors in it. And Marshall Teague, who his claim to fame was Roadhouse. Okay. Then he was in Armageddon, and then he was in blockbuster movies.
Yeah.
And he moved here from L.A.
to Fort Worth.
Yeah, and surprisingly, and Jim Blumetti, who's a real good friend of mine, he is so critical. I mean, he's from
Brooklyn.
No, Ohio.
Whatever this is. He's from wherever they
earlier this was Saginaw.
It's a pretty tough neighborhood in Ohio, not Columbus. It was somewhere else. But he's always in my face. If he doesn't like it, he's going to say, no, this is I don't like it, and this is why. But
that's good, right?
Oh, yeah, I don't want yes people around me.
No.
Yeah.
Because it's about the project. It's not about me. And I always tell people
it's not about your
that.
feelings. It's
yeah,
about
you're not going to hurt my
feelings.
I grew up in Brooklyn. I was in gang fights. You think you're going to hurt my feelings, even if you don't like something I'm doing? So anyway, they all wrote back and said, this is hysterical. When are we going to shoot this? So we did it, and it's called I Am Lorenzo Lamas. That was the first episode. Mm-hmm. Half hour that I really like.
Okay.
So that's what we're winning all those awards on.
Nice.
So this next one is Where's Lou Diamond Phillips?
Okay.
And then the third one will be Lou Diamond Phillips is Missing. The one after that is called, was that Chuck Norris? So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm taking all of these names and
without getting too far into it, just for anybody who's curious about the show itself, have you written out the entirety of Bela, or is it evolving and the story is progressing as you go?
Yes, the latter.
That's really cool. So you don't even know where it's going to end up.
No, I just start writing, and now I have a team, and we met last night, and we were supposed to talk about the next script, which we kind of did, but it went off onto a whole different discussion about the website and about promoting it and really good stuff. And they apologized at the end. I said, no, it's like when you're on a film or a TV show and you make a mistake. That could be a nugget of gold that you keep. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I've seen it.
What blows my mind about that, and I had an author on just a couple weeks ago, and I asked him the same question. How do you work out that progression? I always assumed that you have an end point in mind, and then you reverse engineer that. And I don't know, maybe that's a method, but the author and you yourself, you're just starting and you're going, and then eventually you just figure it out in the middle? Or
I've had actors, I would always tell my actors, look, the script, what I wrote, that's the foundation.
Yeah.
So I'm asking you guys to help build the house. And if you have any ideas to make my house look much better than I thought, I want that input.
That's incredible that you're so collaborative with your cast and crew.
Yeah, I've done this for more than half my life, way more than half my life, that I realized that it's got to be collaborative. So when those actors win that award, that's not them. It's the whole team.
Yeah.
And you realize, but she really pushed me. He told me to do it again, and I like the second one than the first one. And I teach acting, and I wrote this scene years ago, and two of my actors took it out of the archives, and they were doing the scene. And I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is not only the acting is good, but the piece is great. And so when they were done, I just looked at them, and this is how I was looking at them, because I was so amazed that they were so good at this. I said, where did you get this piece? This was incredible. And so they started laughing.
Actually.
They were laughing and looking at each other. I said, oh, don't tell me you got it from one of those monologues.com.
Yeah, those buy a 30-minute monologue.
Yeah, so they laughed. They said, no, yeah. I said, well, yeah, it was in the archive, but who wrote it? And they said, you did. I said, I wrote this? So,
damn, I'm good.
Oh, wow. I should do this for a living.
Here's the thing. When I wrote it, I had something else in mind.
Right.
So you didn't even recognize it because they had taken it a different direction.
Totally different. And they apologized. They said, well, we'll do it, though. I said, no.
Keep it.
No. That is dead. This is the new one.
That's so cool.
And that's the way I like to direct, you know.
And even those little bitty moments, like the Easter eggs and the collaborative moments. There's a scene that came up just recently talking about one of the previous Mission Impossibles, and there's a scene where they're fighting in the bathroom, and I believe this guy was a UFC fighter that they brought in as an actor.
Makes sense.
And they had been working on this scene for I think 2 or 3 or 4 days, and it was the same thing, multiple takes. And the guys are starting to get tired. And so the UFC guy, I believe he was UFC, comes in there, and he's getting ready to do another take. And he's like, okay. And he does like this stretch thing, but it looks like a punch reload. And it's one of the coolest moments.
It's one of those like this.
He does a...
Yeah, yep.
Like a double fist pump thing.
And I think they kept it in the movie, and then they did a very subtle slow-mo on it just to make he looked so badass, like his arm muscles rippling. I think I know what you're talking. I think that came up on my TikTok or something.
Yeah, and that's where I saw it. But it's like you're talking about, and they did not intend for that, and it was just a product of them working through this shot over and over and over again, and then this diamond moment just shows up, and they're like, oh shit. We gotta keep that.
We gotta keep that. We were
amazing.
rolling. Were we rolling?
Yeah. Well, on this next episode, I already wrote the ending, and I loved the ending that I wrote. I really did, because there are times that I have to buy into what I write also. Mm-hmm. And my DP, director of photography, called me and he said, hey, listen, I just wrote, I thought you might want a cliffhanger for the next episode. And I said, all right. He said, I wrote it. Can I send it to you? I said, yeah. And it was so cool. I thought I would be so foolish, such an idiot if I don't use his. Mm-hmm. And I called him. I said, let's film it.
Yep.
We got it. But it's amazing you should talk about a UFC fighter. Do you guys know who? Well, I have an MMA fighter. He's in his 40s now, but for his age group, he became champion.
Yeah.
And
at 40, it's time to start acting.
Yeah.
And stop taking blows to the head.
Yeah. Exactly.
No more concussions.
So, and his name is Michael Alexander, and now he does commentating for UFC. And anyway, so I teach ballroom dancing as well. And I teach on Wednesday nights. And so I teach Latin and all kinds of ballroom smooth dance.
Dennis might be the coolest man I know. You've got all these things going on. And you're a ballroom instructor. This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you ever need a female cohort for the dancing, for demonstrations, call a girl up.
All right.
Only if she's not co-hosting Fort Worth Roots.
Yeah, exactly. Or doing the other million things that happen in a day,
Yeah. So she's the coolest chick.
Hey.
Oh, we're not supposed to call them chicks. Hey, I'm from Brooklyn. I don't care.
Dude, what do you want? What are you gonna do about it?
I felt like a Brooklyn
you can call me a chick,
Ricky Gervais. I don't care.
You can call me a chick. It's fine. Okay. Just you, Dennis. No one else.
So, Ricky anyway, I'm about to get on a whole.
Yeah, we are so ADHD. It's incredible.
But let me tell you about this UFC thing.
Before I start.
I went into, I teach at Arts Fifth Avenue in Fort Worth. And so I went to pay my rent, and there was Gracie. Gracie is the owner, and she was with some of her students. We just started talking, and this woman was just saying, I have to get to tap dancing because my back is really hurting. And so I just started talking to her, and I told her about my masseuse and yada, yada, yada. And she said, yeah, my son gets this done all the time. I said, oh, what does he do? She said, he's an MMA fighter. I said, oh, everybody's son is an MMA fighter.
Yeah.
And I said, what's his name? She said, Buddy Clinton. I said, Buddy Clinton. Kind of sounds familiar. So I said, did he ever do UFC? And, UFC is a really big deal.
Yeah.
And I knew she was going to say no. She said, yeah, a lot. I said, serious? So anyway, I looked him up.
Best I'm currently.
The guy's the real deal.
Yeah.
So he retired, and he just got out of retirement last year at the age of 45.
Wow.
And he won to a much younger fighter.
Yeah.
And he won this belt. Anyway, make a very long story short, she said Hoist Gracie is his trainer.
Okay.
And I said...
One of the greats.
I said, wait, the Hoist Gracie? She said, yeah, he comes over the house and, they act silly and she tells Hoist what to do and she told him to throw the garbage out or something. And I'm thinking, is this woman for real? So I said, here's my number. Have your son call me.
Yeah.
So he didn't call me, but about a week or two later, I get this email from him and he's telling me who he is. So I called him. We were talking. So we met for lunch. The guy's he's really the real deal.
Yeah.
And then as we're talking, he was talking about Hoist Gracie, and he calls Hoist. He said, yeah, I'm here with Dennis O'Neill, the guy with the Bailout TV show. He said, yeah, I'll get more information because I asked him, could I have you and Hoist on it? And so anyway, so I'm telling him about it, and he says to Hoist, all right, I'll talk to you later. And I wanted to say, hey, Hoist, but he already hung up. And so I'm talking to him, and he's getting excited about the show.
Nice.
And I said, now listen, I don't want just Hoist on it. I want you on it as well. Because he was very personable, has a great personality. I mean, he was really out there. And I just had a feeling this guy could do it. And anyway, he called me the other day. I hope I can say this.
You can.
He called me the other day, and he said, and I was in the gym. He said, Dennis, this is Buddy, and it's really long, so just call me. I don't want to leave a long message. And my stomach dropped.
Yeah.
Oh, man. I really wanted Hoist Gracie. And I was telling some of the actors that we're going to have Hoist Gracie. So I call him, and he said, yeah, I got off the phone with Hoist, just before I called you and left that message. He said, I told Hoist, he said, Dennis, after talking to you, finding out about the show, and then I sent him the show. I sent him more information. He sends it to Hoist. He had this conversation with Hoist. He said to Hoist, you're doing this. And he said, yeah, but, and he said, no buts. You are doing this. He said, even if I don't do it, you're doing it.
That's so cool.
So Hoist said, well, I travel all the time. He said, do you think we can do it when I'm passing through Dallas?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I'll make it happen. So February 21st, I'm going to go to Oklahoma. Hoist, he trains police departments and things like that.
Oh, wow.
So he's doing this big thing in Oklahoma. And so I'll be going up there, and I'll be meeting with him, having dinner with him, and we're talking about it. So we have Hoist
Man, that's
Gracie.
incredible.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
it really is.
That is so cool.
Well, see,
cool.
these things have been happening with Bailout. every time I think, I don't know, I never think in terms of giving it up, but I always say, God, should I just put it down? I don't know. And then when I think of that, somebody will call me and say, hey, I want to put this amount of money in. A friend of mine just gave me $350 for it, for the editing. No, for the website.
Yeah.
Because we were having this meeting. And, these things just keep happening. So I'm obligated not only to the cast and crew, but I think I'm obligated to the dream, because it's something I really didn't conjure up and say I want to do this thing. It just came to me because I did a show a few years ago prior to me writing this that prompted it, and I thought about it, and then when I had that audition, and I just said, I'm just going to write my own ticket, and then I sat at the computer and started writing. So,
well, I want to put my name in the hat, and I know I said this last time, but
I'm also I was like
to continue to promote that, and so I'm serious. Anytime, if you need an extra, if you need somebody to hold a boom mic or anything, I'm there for it. All right, the Penteverett.
No, Penteverett.
Penteverett.
My current favorite obsession.
I watched half an episode out of the first series or season. Is there more than one season?
There's one season.
Yeah, I think that's either episode 4 or 5. I forgot.
That's you there, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
You're the news anchor.
Yes. Yeah.
So you're on all the TV screens throughout the show. That is awesome.
So where did you film this at?
In Dallas.
Okay.
Hex yeah.
Yeah, it was at a big studio where I played a news anchor, and actually everyone on there thought I was a news anchor.
You look like a news anchor.
Yeah,
You're selling it. You're pulling it off.
And the director said, "Dennis, I'm just going to let you go. So do what you want, say what you want." Well, that's all you have to do is tell an actor who can be funny.
Yeah.
And man, I just
improv. Boom.
I remembered Robin Williams, and I imitated him. I just went off.
Nice.
And people couldn't shut me up.
I can't wait to watch it now.
It's out of pocket. The show is entirely out of pocket.
Yeah, this is either episode 4 or 5. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I did watch it, but okay. So the big guy
Here.
Jim Brady. So he plays an angel.
Like an actual, like a legitimate angel.
A legitimate angel. So see the two guys on one to the left of him, one to the right. He looks like So he looks like Jason Statham.
Yeah, and you got
He does that for a living.
Sylvester Stallone looking dude on the right.
Yeah, and he does that for a living.
Are they like Elvis impersonators, but of those two actors for a living?
Yeah,
that's
so
kind of cool.
you know, so he'll like talk and say, "Yo, you know, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna help Jimmy O'Neill," and then the other guy will say, "Oh, right."
You sound just like him when you do that.
I know.
That was good.
I studied him.
That was very good.
So they are the mobsters down here
That were supposed to whack
that
y'all,
were supposed to whack me.
but then they like you.
The one with the right there with her arm around me, that's my love interest, Catherine.
Ah,
And
she a good Fort Worth girl?
yeah, well, she lives in Dallas. I forgot where
I mean, the
she's from.
character. So is it like you come from
No.
Brooklyn, you meet her in Texas?
No,
Okay.
Brooklyn.
Oh,
I
okay,
met-
she's from Brooklyn.
Yeah, I knew all of them from Brooklyn.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And that's where the show takes place or is set.
I thought it was set in Fort Worth.
Well, it's shot here.
Yeah,
but
It's set in Fort
Oh,
Worth.
that's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah, but even
You're right.
even some of the scenes that are in Brooklyn, they're shot in Fort Worth.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of really good like shooting spots.
But I try to keep it in Fort Worth.
Are there some sweet spots around here that y'all like to film in?
Yeah. Well,
Have you had to deal with like permits or anything? Because I know like especially like Sundance is very specific about what you can do.
so no, because if a business owns the property, I'll ask the business, and so then if it's on private property, you don't need it.
Right.
Smart.
Yeah.
Smart.
So do y'all have like a regular street that y'all frequent when you're shooting?
No, because it really needs to be more in an office, my office, which is an old kind of a place.
I remember you asking about office space the first time. And
Yeah.
we kind of lightly talked about maybe using this, but
Yeah, well,
I
when
don't think it would work.
Why?
I didn't think it would work then.
Why?
Well, you're the filmmaker.
No, I think it would work perfectly.
Really?
Actually, yeah.
Anytime.
Okay, because we had a place on Main Street. This lawyer bail bondsman was letting us use his office. I got it through the film commission.
Yeah.
We desperately needed an office, and the school that said you can use it. Well, an hour before they called me and said, "Oh, you have to go downtown and get permission." I said, "Yeah, but we're here."
Yeah.
He said, "I can't let you do it.
Oh,
You got to get
Jesus.
permission."
What a
So
pain in
So
the
I
ass.
called the film commission, and they right away got me Mr. Johnson, and we could walk to his. We were at this pizza place. We could walk to his office, which is what I did. And he said, "Yeah, come on in. Yeah, shoot it."
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
Yeah,
Well,
but
if
he
you
sold
need a backup,
the building.
if you need a backup.
Okay, well, when we're done, I want to look and let
Okay.
you know what we could possibly do.
Now, do you guys do anything with Film Fort Worth? That's an organization here that I'm familiar with.
No.
And there's a couple other Fort Worth film entities around here.
There are, yeah.
Do you collaborate with any of them?
No, I mean I've tried to collaborate with different people. It just never worked out.
Well, Andrew is very good as a human bridge.
I'm actually going to a Visit Fort Worth event. By the time this airs, I think I will have maybe already gone and done that. But Film Fort Worth, I think, is a leg off of that maybe. So I'll
That's the name of it, Film Fort Worth?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
There's Here Fort Worth, there's Film Fort Worth, and a couple other organizations. I believe they're kind of intrinsically tied to the Visit Fort Worth community, but I don't know that for sure. But one way or another, I'll find some contacts.
Well, the biggest thing we're looking for are backers. I do have an agent who is trying to get me hooked up with backers, but I need to send her more content. Mm-hmm. So my feeling is if I had 3 episodes out, 6 could be a season.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But if I had 3 to have backers look at it, and we were just talking about this yesterday. That's why I'm closing down my website. We're doing a whole new website. When you go on it, if you go to my website,
which will be in the show notes.
Okay. It looks like it's my personal website. And I told the guy, I said, no, it's
the
not,
show's site.
It's the show. It's not about me. So he's got this big picture of me when you open it up, and he should have that instead of me.
Right.
Yeah.
Have that because it's all about the whole cast and crew.
Well, we'll see what we can do to get you connected with some folks.
Excellent.
I know Paul is also a really good resource.
He's an amazing resource.
Out at Nexum Creative Studios.
Well, I talked to him about doing a podcast, and he said to me, have you ever thought about doing a podcast? I said, yeah. I thought about sitting around maybe as the character and having the actors in character and doing. He said, well, that's a good idea. He said, but did you ever think of this? And he turns on this podcast. It was like a mystery theater kind of a thing. I said, no, I never thought of that. He said, well, think of that because
it's like those old radio shows that they used to do. Yeah, I used to love. I was super. They don't even really do them anymore, which is unfortunate. But whenever my mom would put on, I think it was like PBS would kind of like do this sometime, like on their radio or like 101.1, like the classical station in Dallas. They used to do it a lot. I loved those, and a lot of people are doing like theatrical podcasts now.
His girlfriend, fiance, said that she does not look at television. She listens to podcasts all the time.
Yeah,
and his son even told me that. So.
Well, and this would be another great way to work out material with your cast too.
Yeah.
And not even that. I mean, that's like a very it's a very easy way for viewers of your show if they want extra content but they're waiting on a new episode. If you're putting out regular podcasts. Am I getting in the way?
No,
Sorry.
fine.
If you're putting out podcasts and it feels like there's more content where they can listen to their favorite characters, there's more. It's kind of now like I don't have to sit on my computer or my TV and watch the show. I can listen to it. That's part of my daily thing.
You're sitting on a gold mine.
A gold mine.
Yeah.
My God.
But it's a matter of getting people that really believe in it and collaborating with me. And a lot of people think that, because I'm the creator, I might not want collaboration because it's my baby.
I think you've made it very well known that you're open for collaborative.
Yeah, you need a family to raise the kids.
It takes a village. It takes a village.
Well, for people that either want to back the show, get involved, or just find out more information, where should they go primarily right now?
Okay, they can email me at actorfc@aol.com. Don't laugh at the AOL. I've had it forever.
Hey, if it still works.
Yeah, it does. I have a Gmail. You can go to Gmail also, actorfc@gmail.
Perfect.
I will say, all right, so www.bailouttv.com.
Which will be down in the near future for renovations.
But
for right now, it is a resource.
Next week, we're going to have a whole...
Will it be the same domain?
Week after.
Yeah.
It'll be the same domain.
It's just a different site.
Well, the people that are doing it, they'll shut one down and immediately the other one will pop
Flip it back up. Yep.
So.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Sean Cunningham is doing that for us, and
Shout out, Sean. All right, folks. Well, all that will be in the show notes, all the information we talked about, links and whatnot, and websites. And Dennis, thank you so much for being back on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Can we do it again?
Appreciate it. Yeah, absolutely.
Outstanding.
I like this little group. We should do this again.
Because I have more stories,
She did wonderful, didn't she?
Thank you.
She was excellent.
This is my first time co-hosting, so we'll see.
Is it really?
Yeah, the last time I was here, it was in the hot seat where you are now. So this is
she ran that episode too. So I thought it's perfect co-host material.
Collaboration.
Right,
collaboration. It's where the best ideas come from.
Fort Worth Roots. Bye for now. We will see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Dennis O'Neill, my friend, thank you for being back on the Fort Worth Roots podcast. Big shout out to Genevieve for being an excellent co-host. If you would like to be a co-host like the amazing Genevieve and you think you've got what it takes, you can call our new hotline number. It's 817-988-1292. And if you just want to laugh at me in the awful message I used for my voicemail recording, give it a shot. Just hold the phone away from your ear. 817-988-1292. I'm going to have all the stuff in the show notes about Bailout TV. You can go to Instagram and look up Bailout TV. It's Bailout_TV. I'm going to see if there's more links that we talked about in this episode. Look in the show notes. You can also go to bailouttv.com. Excellent. A lot of cool stuff in this. I know I watched Texas Ranger growing up as a kid. Walker, Texas Ranger. My dad made us watch it, so we didn't really have a choice. But it was excellent, and I thought Chuck Norris was the coolest man alive. And I'm pretty sure my father thought he was Chuck Norris. Anyway, that's a whole different thing. And Robin Williams. Who doesn't love Robin Williams? If you're in my age bracket, old as dirt, you grew up watching all of the best Robin Williams films. Excellent stuff. So, a lot of intersecting roads here. Lots of common ground we covered. And it's always a pleasure to have Dennis on. A very creative dude. He's had an incredible life of creating alongside some well-known actors. And now he's doing his own thing. And Bailout is another incredible creation, and it's being filmed right here in Fort Worth, Texas. Can you believe this is going on in Fort Worth? Can you believe we got connected with a guy like Dennis O'Neill? I'm blown away. It's great. And if it wasn't for Fort Worth Roots, I would have never met the man. So, fringe benefits of having a podcast, I guess. All right, let's talk about these sponsors here, my dude. woodpostmetalworks.com. Go to woodpostmetalworks.com, use offer code podcast817 at checkout, and you will save 10%. They specialize in metal signs with or without LED backlighting, fence and gate repair or installation, light steel fabrication, industrial plasma cutting, and more. Again, that is woodpostmetalworks.com. And these sponsors here, whenever we do sponsorship, you've heard me say this before, but we want to keep Fort Worth dollars in Fort Worth pockets. If you need something awesome and custom, you don't have to look on the internet. You can look right here in your backyard. And these people will get you taken care of. They've been doing signs for businesses all over Fort Worth. They've just been popping up left and right. And these guys have a backlog now. They're getting very, very popular. So if you're wanting to check them out and you're on a deadline, so you got like a birthday coming up or you need a new thing for your business, you want to call them now or get a hold of them online and make sure you get on the list because they are very sought after. All right, Houk Walker Originals. Houk Walker Originals. They offer a huge variety of unique and personalized gifts. Also laser engraving to customize just about anything you have or can think of. Go to houkwalker.com. And then, of course, Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk. RoofingSolutionsHouk.com is where you go for more information. And you can get them on the phone. Lickety-split, 10 times faster than a gopher. 817-692-8496. I did a little bit of looking. I wanted to see, okay, it's been a while since I did my homework on Roofing Solutions. I did my homework on Roofing Solutions a long time ago when I first met Mr. Houk, and I was very pleased with what I found. But I wanted to do an update. Like, see, maintaining that sterling reputation. Here's what I found. He's had a Facebook account for Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk since 2010. Same account, no fluff. It's been there since 2010. And he has a 5.0 rating. It's the highest you can get. 5.0. Since 2010. So, over a decade. And he is still maintaining that reputation. If you've ever owned a business, you know how hard it is to keep people from saying bad stuff about you online. You really have to be good at what you're doing. And not only that, you got to find a way not to make enemies. Because anybody can get on there and leave you a review. So that's a reflection of this guy's character and his professionalism and the quality of work they do. But I wasn't happy there. So that's just Facebook. What else? Yelp, 5.0. Angie's List, 5.0. I'm like, all right, that's pretty good. We're 3 for 3. Let's go over here to the Better Business Bureau and take a little gander. It's an A+ rating. A+ rating for Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk. Of course it is. But right next to that it says not accredited. I'm like, what does that mean? So I did some homework. Not accredited means Darren doesn't pay these people money anymore. Better Business Bureau, just like Angie's List, Yelp, and so many other ones, if you want to be one of their top picks, or if you want to be accredited by them, you got to pay them money. That's what it is. And the Better Business Bureau is no different. It's just another ad agency at this point. And I'm just kidding. I didn't have to look that up. When I had a business myself, I remember being very disappointed because I thought the Better Business Bureau was like this sterling enterprise that, had everybody's well-being at heart, and that's what they were all about. Like it was a government agency or some shit. But it's not. Better Business Bureau is just another advertising platform, and Mr. Houk does not pay for that anymore, or currently. So he is not accredited by the Better Business Bureau. However, they do still accept reports if a local business or what have you is doing some heinous stuff, some unbusiness-like conduct. And if you have done something like that, the Better Business Bureau, whether you're paying them or not, has no problem of reducing your rating. But Darren doesn't have to worry about that. He's got an A+ rating through the Better Business Bureau. And what else? Listed in an online publication that I found. It's called Today's Home. Today's Home Owner. And I don't know anything about these people, and I do not endorse them. But he was selected as one of the 12 best roofing companies in Fort Worth for February 2023 by these folks at Today's Home Owner. So you can put that feather in your hat. And then on Google, and this is the most disheartening thing, 4.8. He is listed as a 4.8. So I had to do some digging on that. I called Mr. Houk. I said, hey, man, what's this about? Do we have a problem here? He said, dig a little deeper. Take a look. See where that came from. See where that knock came from. So I did. I looked, and there was a 4-star rating that somebody had left. And it's anonymous. You don't know where it came from. And here's the thing about Google reviews. Anybody can leave one, even your competition. So somebody with, either a legitimate complaint or not, but they didn't voice any kind of negative opinion or cite any particular complaint, they just left him a 4-star. And then there's one other mark on there for a 1-star. But he still, despite having these anonymous people leaving a 4-star review and a 1-star review, he still has a 4.8. And that's pretty incredible. Yeah, if you're looking at anybody that's been in business for more than 6 months and they have in between a 3.8 and a 5, they're doing pretty daggum good. But a 4.8, still pretty daggum excellent on the old Google reviews. So anyway, that's the latest update. Darren Houk at Roofing Solutions still has a sterling reputation. All right, and we got another sponsor that's coming up. Just waiting for the ink to dry on this one, but we've got another one. Another great sponsor that's going to help Fort Worth Roots put on some more amazing events for you. Speaking of events, we need to get into that. Where are my events? Come on with the notes, Andrew. Oh, crap. What'd I do with them? Here we go. Is this it? Yeah. All right. February 15th at 9 p.m., Fort Worth Forever is putting on a thing called Love is War. This is going to be held at El Chingon, and that's over there in that 7th Street area, that whole debacle. These guys are all about that 7th Street area. They're hosting parties all the time. They're doing cool stuff every time you look them up. And this particular one, February 15th, is going to be sponsored by a whole bunch of people. And Fort Worth Roots has their name on the ticket, too. Again, that is Love is War. You can look this up on the Fort Worth Forever Facebook page to get more details. Again, that is it's going to be at El Chingon, February 15th at 9 p.m. All right, fast forward to Thursday. I think that's Thursday. Anyway, it's February 17th. The Visit Fort Worth annual meeting will be held at the Fort Worth Convention Center. This is put on each year by Visit Fort Worth. They bring in tourism, business, I guess they talk about this stuff. Tourism, business, sports, hospitality, and creative industries. They bring them all together to celebrate growth, collaboration, and community. And I was somehow selected to represent Fort Worth and the creative community alongside some other podcasters at this event. I had no idea how big of a deal this was, but it's kind of like the State of the Union address for the city of Fort Worth. It's a big thing. It's the biggest thing we put on as a city every year. So very flattered and honored to be included in this production. I don't know if you can still get tickets, but we're going to be there. So if you're going to be there, look for me. I'll be passing out stickers, shaking babies, kissing hands, that whole deal. All right, that's it for February. On to April 7th, we will be at the new Lola's for Psychedelic Panther Music Festival. Last year we did this at Maine at Southside. Rest in peace, Maine at Southside. We miss you. But this is going to be great. The new Lola's is the location this year, and if you haven't been out there, I don't know what you're doing with your life. This place is pretty badass, and they're putting on some excellent local music. They also had some big touring acts roll through there. I've lost count now how many times I've been out to Lola's to catch a show, or been drug out there by other awesome friends of mine to engage in celebration of certain types. Lola's is great, and whether you've been there or not, April 7th, this thing is going to be lit. It was great last year. We had some excellent bands up, and lots of vendors and all sorts of cool stuff. So put that on your calendar. That is April 7th, Psychedelic Panther. My boy Joe Guzman is the one that put this thing on together. He is the front man for a new band called Space Poets. I got to see them play live for their debut performance not too long ago, and I am absolutely positive he will be performing at this. But I guess I don't have that written down in front of me, so I guess I shouldn't be positive. But anyway, lots of murderers on stage. They're going to have a great time. Lots of really wonderful music. People from the area. I think they've got a few from Denton and stuff. But we've got a recording with old Joe Guzman next week. It's going to drop. I'm going to give you 2 episodes. I'm going to be giving you the Joe Guzman episode talking about the Psychedelic Panther Festival, along with Mr. Darren Houk talking about the River Oaks Spring Fest car show, which is happening April 22nd out at Camp Carter YMCA. It's going to start at 10 a.m. and go all the way through 4 p.m. You can expect vendors and live music and all sorts of good festivities. We had a great time last year, and it's going to be bigger this year. I was talking to Mr. Houk, the proprietor, the man with the mission, the dude with the plan, that put the whole thing together last year and spearheading this year's event as well. And this is actually how we got connected with Darren Houk and the Houk family, and Roofing Solutions by Darren Houk was this event. I reached out to him. I was like, hey, Fort Worth Roots is trying to go to events. Can we go to that event? He's like, absolutely. And that's how our friendship started almost a year ago. But this is a great event, and it's going to be a lot of fun. 7,000 people showed up to this thing last year. 7,000 people, 300 classic cars, and that's really what I should be talking to you about, are the classic cars. That's the whole point of the thing, is the classic car show. Just mind-blowing stuff out there. Beautiful, beautiful classic cars, custom stuff. You're just going to have to come out and see it. April 22nd, and as you will find out next week when we air the episode where we talked about this whole shindig, it is a free event. You don't have to pay a dime to go. It's going to be excellent. And Fort Worth Roots, of course, will be there. Passing out stickers. Yep. Kissing baby, shaking hands. Other way around. I like to say it the other way around. All right, this has gone on long enough. You've heard about my sponsors. You have heard about the events. And what else do I need to tell you about? That's all I've got written down for you today, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. One more time, Dennis O'Neill, my friend, thank you so much for being back on the show. Genevieve, you rocked it. You were an excellent addition to this episode. Thank you for being here. And that's it, folks. Thank you again. I will see you next week. See ya.